Good afternoon and welcome to half term's edition of Business Blondes. Happy Thursday, everybody. What a glorious week it is, especially for those of us who have children who are on half term this week. What a lovely, lovely, glorious, sunshiny week that they've had. So, before we get on to today's topic, obviously we have apologies from Penny, who is getting herself ready for her lovely holiday. So she's off in her camper van next week. So have a great time, Penny. We look forward to catching up with you on your return. And let's check in with you, lovely ladies, and see how your week has been. So, Kim, I know that it's been a challenging, strange week for you. Do you want to tell us a little bit why?
So I've just done the first week ever without my little girl, which was really daunting. The thought of not having her with me, as you know, she's my North Star. So I was a bit like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to cope. I don't know how she's going to cope. But actually, I pick her back up tomorrow, and I can't wait. But it's been a good week to actually get some focus on rediscovering myself, I guess. So I've been out with friends. I've obviously we're allowed out. We've got some sunshine, which is always great, and I've been able to get a bit more work done because actually you have been able to do those things and still not have to do kind of the nursery run, the school run, and what have you. But I am dead excited about having a home tomorrow.
Oh, I bet you are. And actually, I've been in the same boat, although, my little one is nearly 17. But he's been away this week with friends, another family, camping. So he's just had the most glorious time. So he left school on Friday and has basically just been loving life ever since then. So yeah, I'm not seeing him until this evening, actually. So yeah, very similar week, Kim. It's like your right arm's been cut off, isn't it? Just something is missing. There's a lot more food in the house. There's a lot less dirty washing in the basket.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I find myself going to talk to her and realise that she's not there, or in the morning getting up and following my normal routine. So going in to wake her up, she's not here. Kim, stop waking her up. You're gonna have to wait for her to come back. But yeah, I think it's good. It's good growth for both of us.
Exactly. Caroline, how's your week been, lovely?
Yeah, it's very good, thank you. I do have an empty nest, so I don't have those problems, but I do think one of my children will be boomeranging back soon after university, but making the hay while the sun shines in the meantime. Really good week. I seem to have so many, it sounds so disingenuous, so many friends to catch up with, lots of lunches, lots of nights out. I'm kind of looking forward to a week when I'm not doing that, but I'm really enjoying catching up with Uncle on Tuesday, 2 friends today and tomorrow. So good, all of that's good. And I'm getting quite a lot of inquiries about my course in September for training to be a life coach, and a few more one-to-one clients as well. I think people are thinking, I don't really want to go back to the day job. So what do I want to do? And I think a lot of people don't know what they want. And who does really? Who does know what they want for the next 10 or 20 years? And that's, of course, when a coach comes in. So it's been a good week of fun and work and potential, I would say.
Well, that leads me nicely into the topic of today, which we're talking about self-love, aren't we? So how do we make sure that we love ourselves? How do we look after ourselves? And I think that, we've talked about burnout before on this show. And I've had 2 conversations this week with 2, brilliantly talented women that have just said, do you know what, I've reached the end. And, like I said to them, if we were employed, if we had a job, then we would have taken our holiday allowance last year and probably have taken some holiday already this year, being halfway through the year. But being self-employed, I don't know about you ladies, but I know certainly we were sharing this yesterday and Monday that you only tend to take time off when you need to. So unlike, like I say, if you was employed, you'd probably book a week off, and if you had something planned or not, you'd take it. But being self-employed, having your own business, you tend not to do that. And I think, when I think about self-love, when I think about well-being, it's about looking after us, looking after all of us. So quite often when we think about self-love, we think about happiness. but it's not that, is it? And Caroline, you must see this a lot in your clients. Surely it's about, diet, exercise, friendships, work-life balance, sleep. It's about all of those things. Where do you think we fall down the most?
I think it's always the feeling that you have to be busy, you have to be doing something, whether it's at your desk for your business or for your family, and always a sense of, oh, I've still got things to do. And someone said to me the other day, how come you get so much time off? And I said, because I love my work, but I love my me time more. So what I do is I work really, really hard so that I can have chunks off where I can decompress, think, gather, not be rushing around, and then make strategic plans in my own time. But I think that is, to me, is my own act of self-love, is that I know what my mind needs and what my body needs to be at my best. And it isn't being on the go 24/7 and not giving myself time off. And if you have any guilt feelings about it, you need to address that, because guilt is self-punishment. It's not helpful. It just is a useless emotion. Unless you've done something truly, truly awful to someone or something, then feel guilt. But just feeling guilt for working or for taking time off, that's just not helpful, because it's an investment in the self to feel relaxed and healthy and on top of things, not to feel frazzled and working every minute of the day. But I think there's a sense of, I've got to be busy. But it's not being productive, it's being busy. And I just want to add, before I pass on to someone else, sometimes saying no to work is an act of great self-love, because you think, I won't enjoy it, it's long hours, it's not the sort of work I like. Yes, the money might be good. And saying no to something is protecting your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, and saying, that isn't for me. And I think when you get to that point, that is an act of self-care, of radical self-love, because you think, I don't want to put myself through that anymore. And when you get that in your mind, do I want to suffer? Do I want to be living my life like this? That is the first kind of little bud of self-love coming through, saying, no, I want more for me. I'm on my soapbox.
I think that's a really good point, though, because I think, again, as business owners, we're not very good at turning work away, are we? Because, we can still remember those days when we first started, when we wanted every little bit of work that came our way. So saying no to something almost goes against the grain. But you're right, sometimes it is the very best thing we can do for us when we know deep down it's the wrong type of work. And I also think it's about triggers, isn't it? I know, with regards to my mindset, I know the things that will make me in a positive mindset, make me have a positive mindset. I know music is a great thing for me. Listening to some really, I'm a bit of an 80s chick, but, those types of vibe, that sort of music, that really gets me going. It puts me in a really good, positive, energetic mood. And is that what it's about, recognizing our own triggers? What do you think, Kim?
Taking myself off mute would be helpful. So I agree. I think it's recognizing that sometimes we need to be able to recharge too. And it was something that I've been really, really bad at. I almost felt guilty, and I think sometimes we can layer that on, can't we? I feel guilty if I'm not doing something for my little girl, or if I'm not doing something for the business, or if I've not done enough for my friends, or if I've not done enough for my family, or I've not done enough. And I think, we can be our own harshest self-critic, can't we, around what we could have done. But certainly realizing that you can't pour from an empty cup, you can't give back if you don't take some time to recharge. And actually now what I do is, I find the things that I know are going to bring me joy. And like this week's been a great example. I get real joy from being with my friends and family, which has been lovely. I also get real joy from cooking. So for me, if I'm finding that, that everything's getting a little bit overwhelming and I just want to be able to take time out and think, there is nothing better than whacking up the music and going and cooking something. So I did go a little bit mental and cooked loads of things, made chutney and made tarts. The neighbours are loving me. So I have to take it somewhere for people to eat it. But actually, it was something I'd not given myself the opportunity to do for a period. And it isn't going to be everybody's thought around being a relaxing thing to do. But actually, I know for me, it's something that brings me joy. And I think it's knowing those triggers and then finding the thing that is going to help you to put yourself back into the right mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we're all coaches, and how can we, coach and help others if we're not in that sort of positive mindset ourselves? That's how I feel. So sometimes I need to have a real short, sharp word with myself, especially when considering all the great things I've got going on in my life. Sort of woe is me shouldn't really come into it. Caroline, what was you going to say?
I was going to say things like cooking is very good for the mind, because you're doing small repetitive tasks and you're able to go into what they call an alpha state, which is allowing the brain, because normally we're in a beta state, which is loads and loads of chit chat, monkey brain going on. But when you go into an alpha state, because you're doing something simple like cooking and chopping things, it's a deep relaxation in that, and also ironing, because you're doing small things, and also walking, because you're doing something but you're not having to think too hard about doing that. And people think to having time out is a waste of time, but it isn't. It gives your brain chance to recover. And sometimes when I'm at my ironing board and when I'm going for my morning walk or run, I have the blinding bit of inspiration that I can't get when I'm sitting here with my PC thinking, what can I write next for my newsletter? It's taking time out that it is the reward in itself, that you think, I feel much fresher now, new thoughts are coming through, and that's what the brain needs. And if you can't meditate, because not everyone can, which of course is a way of going into a place of awareness but allowing the brain to cleanse and switch off, I suggest to my clients, because meditation is stressful if you're a busy person. It's like, now I've got to meditate, I can't meditate. It's like, now I'm doubly stressed because I can't meditate. But if, like you, Sam, if you put some music on, preferably not too Duran Durani and loud, but something really soft and relaxing, maybe something by Enya, or just some kind of ambient music, and just look at the clouds for 10 minutes. It's the same sort of thing as meditation, but it's not as stressful if you're a busy person. So there are ways of having an instant mind spa by sitting at your desk, looking out the window, putting some music on and just thinking, I'm taking time out. It doesn't have to be, and cooking, great, going for a walk, even doing the ironing will help your brain switch off a bit, because it's just a whole load of noise going on for us all. And also the adjustment back to life after lockdown lifting, I think we're all spending a bit of time trying to readjust to that too. So any time that you can find a bit of self-love, leap on it.
I think some people are finding it harder than others, aren't they, to readjust to coming out. I think that people have been so used to their own company, having to come out and socialize again, and having not done anything. Also, there's almost this element of, well, what do I have to say? I haven't got any news because we haven't been doing anything. So I think that puts a stress. But for me, self-love is about recognizing your own tonic, recognizing what makes you feel good, and knowing when you need a little pick me up, when you need a tonic. So for me, there's music, there's friends. I know I'm quite self-aware. So I know when I need to talk. I know when I need a good old chinwag. And, quite often I'll just arrange a dog walk with one of my friends, and we'll go for a couple of hours and just chat. And I feel so much better. That's my tonic. Sometimes I just need a good old sort out in terms of, I might feel a bit overwhelmed and I need to just clear my to-do list or sort through the to-do list. And that makes me feel more in control. So it's, for me, self-love is about knowing what your triggers are and recognizing when you need to put those tonics in place and where to go for the tonic.
I couldn't agree with you more, Sam. And a very simple little exercise to do is to write down on one side of the page when you know you're not in a good place. So it can be feeling a bit tearful, angry and irritated, overwhelmed by small tasks, getting hot and bothered by simple things, avoidance, feeling tired and niggly and resentful, all these things, snarky, sarcastic, I don't want to do anything, can't be bothered, all these sort of negative signs, write them down, because those are your signs that you're not in a great place. And on the other side of the page, what would help? And sometimes it is get out of the office, see friends for a drink, have a coffee, go for a walk, sleep. listen to music, but know your lifeboat and write it out, or even drink loads of water. Maybe you're really dehydrated. You know, go and have a bath in the middle of the day if that's going to make you feel better. Put on your red knickers, whatever it is, your best perfume, whatever it is you'll get out of the gloom clause. Know it, because otherwise you're just trundling along, not aware of I'm running on empty. But you also need to know what to fill your tank up with, and that's all the good stuff. And it doesn't have to be going shopping or drinking, although I'm not against that, but it can be just simply sitting in the garden or going to the park or having coffee in a cafe and really relishing it and knowing this is my life raft out of my gloomy state, you know.
I love that. I like that. Know your lifeboat. I've not heard of that before. That's a really good way of putting it. A really good, anchor, isn't it? You know, that's your safety. That's your anchor to your own happiness, your own self-love. I think that's brilliant. Kim, what do you recognise in yourself?
So I love that lifeboat piece too. I think it reminds me of like whenever the world's gone a little bit crazy, and the things that are happening that I can't control, I always focus on the things that I can control, and kind of I often use that as I'll do the things I can control as the life raft in a cloudy storm of my brain, which is I can't deal with all these other stormy things. So one of the things for me, I know if I start to feel, I guess, overwhelmed, and Caroline, you kind of covered it perfectly in that, like, slightly hot, bothered, you're trying to do too many things, you've got 53 tabs open on your computer, you're like, I'm going to get none of these done well, because actually I've got too many and I can't think about what are the things that I need to do. So one of the things I recognize when I've done that is to take some time out and go and sit and go, what are the 2 or 3 things that are really going to make a difference? Because I think sometimes we end up with a to-do list for the sake of a to-do list, rather than measuring, ourselves against what are the 2 or 3 things that are really going to move us forward. We get bogged down in the detail, and there's, if you look instead at going, and I do this now at the end of every day, what are the 2 or 3 things maximum that I absolutely have to do tomorrow, and do those first. Because then actually it really helps me with my sense of overwhelm, because it's like I've done those, and then I remind myself, and I do this with my business partner all the time. He'll get into the whole, oh, we've not done this, we've not done that, when we did the 3 things we said we were going to do. So we're going to celebrate that, and then we're going to focus on what are the 3 things that we need to do tomorrow. But I think sometimes you need to have somebody help you recognize when you're getting in your own way.
I agree, and also doing a check-in as well. Like if you're dreading something, dreading a phone call or dreading some work you have to do, this is your kind of an inner alarm telling you there's something here you don't like. And we all have to do chores and admin and phone calls we don't like. But if it's work that you don't like, then note to self, don't do this sort of work again in the future. And what is it costing me physically, emotionally and mentally to say yes to work like this, which I'm getting nothing from? But there was a great thing on Woman's Hour yesterday, Kim, about guilt and motherhood, and they go hand in hand, and they shouldn't do, because you don't hear a guy saying, I feel so guilty, I'm at West Ham this weekend and the kids are at home. They never say, oh, I feel so guilty putting my feet up watching the snooker today. No, they don't. But motherhood and guilt go hand in hand, and yet it doesn't serve anyone. But to say to your children, Mummy's taking time out because I'm a bit stressed, and when you get a bit stressed, you should learn to take time out too. Junior, I'm going to sit in the garden with my tea, and this is what people do when they're looking after themselves. That would be better than, oh, I've got to get the Play-Doh out, and I've got to paint another picture with glitter, or I've got to take a swim in. Sometimes you don't have to do everything. You can just demonstrate and model what looking after yourself looks like. And Mummy's tired, and actually when Mummy's tired, she likes to sit down. It's like, who said we've got to be performers and 24-hour a day playmates and cooks and chefs and personal assistants and PAs to our children? I think demonstrating that we need self-care would be a great thing to show children.
Oh, I love that, and it reminds me of a couple of weeks ago when I ended up had a really stinking migraine, which I never normally get. And I did start to feel really guilty. And then I was like, there's nothing you can do about it. Just share it with her. And I let my little girl know. And I was like, when you go to bed, mummy's going to go to bed, because actually I can't really see right now. And I can't really do some of the things that I would normally do. And she immediately went into like look after mode. And she was like, what can I do for you, mummy? I'm like, bless you, you're 4. You really shouldn't be looking after me. But what I spotted was that she was completely play acting how I am with her if she's ever not in such a great place. So we do actually inadvertently model for our children what they're going to behave like in certain situations. And you're right, we should do more of that, modeling that it's okay to take some time out and to have some self-care, that you don't have to be on the go all of the time, because if not, what are we creating for them as their reality when they move forward?
What a great life lesson. I think you're right. We all try to be superwomen, don't we? Or Superman. You know, we all think we've got these hidden powers that we really don't have, but we just keep searching for those until such point as we feel burnout, or we feel guilt, or we feel like we're not enough, or we've let somebody down. You know, I like what you just said there, both of you, about it's okay to go, do you know what? This is me right now. This is me, and this is me taking care of myself. You know, not this is me really stressed and shouty and which is where I tend to go when I feel a little bit out of my depth or out of control. So just taking that step back and sharing it, as you say, actually, mum's feeling a little bit like I just need some time out. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is what I'm going to do. We're all good. That's a great life lesson, how to take care of ourselves.
But some people don't know how to do it. They genuinely don't know. And it's all, when I coach people, I say, so what have you got planned for the weekend? Oh, more of this, more of this. I said, but can you build in some time out? Oh, I don't normally. And you'd be surprised at how many people say, no, I'll use the weekend to catch up. And I said, what about doing nothing or doing something wonderful? Oh, I don't really, no, it's like, it's such a shock that, you know, are you allowed to have a weekend sort of attitude? You know, like, am I allowed to do this? I've got to look after ailing mother. I've got children. I've got the dog. I've got washing. Yeah, but what about you in all of this? So although it's kind of second nature to us as coaches, for some people, it's really hard to get them to do simple things. But my great victory recently is I've got a wonderful client, 6'4" rugby, South African guy, rugby fan. I told him to go and find a tree to talk to. And, you know, he's a professional man. He's very wealthy. And he said, what? And I said, yeah, go. He said, actually, there is a tree. I said, well, there you are. He's already calling to you in the park. Took a picture of it, sent me the picture. He's got really into this tree now. I said, when you go to the tree, sit with it, talk to it, feel the energy of the tree. It's time out for you. It's an investment. There is natural healing in being in nature, being around trees. They have their own kind of gravitas, their own energy, and he's really hooked. But I thought I'll throw it out there. It costs nothing. He will laugh at me. He's even started to do a vision board now. So everyone can do this. There's a lot of stuff for free, but you've got to want to do it for you, for the love of you, and for the care of you. And if you haven't got that joined up bit that says, I deserve, I need to be looked after, I deserve to be feeling better or feel love, then that's not going to work. You have to claim it. If it takes a coach or a friend to get you to do it, then so be it. But there's always a tree. It's always waiting. I get so much from my sweet chestnut. I really do. Find your tree.
Do you think that you know, it's no secret that life is just busy, isn't it? Like, you rewind 30 years, it wasn't like this. We didn't have as much white noise. There wasn't as much pressure and expectations, or was there? And we're just putting it on ourselves because we do have to be so responsive nowadays. Do you think that we've sort of almost got this added pressure now to react and respond within nanoseconds of having any sort of communication thrown at us?
Well, we've got a kind of always on society, haven't we? But actually, we've bought into that too, because you can look at it and go, what is the worst that would happen if I didn't respond straight away? If I did take some time out, if I did like switch my phone off and just be for a period? Is it really going to be the end of the world? And I've recently been reading The 4-Hour Working Week, and that's fascinating when you kind of like look at some of the tips that he's put in there, which is, you know, he makes it very clear he only checks his emails once a week, and he only checks his messages at this point. And funnily enough, the world hasn't ended, and he's like, you know, he's gone on and made a fortune, and he's now creating his own life. So I think sometimes we've got to go and ask ourselves, what is the worst that's going to happen if I don't do this? And I wonder if some of it is, you know, we've all got that fear of missing out, haven't we? We're so fearful that we're going to miss out on something that we push ourselves to be always there, and that adds a layer of stress. You know, I think about children today and the fact that we have got this always on society, you know. And when I was at school, if somebody wanted to like bully me outside of school hours, they'd have to phone my parents up and ask to put me on the phone. Which funnily enough didn't happen. Who's going to do that? Whereas now we kind of created these spaces where we kind of never give ourselves that time to step back away and recoup and rejuvenate in a way that we probably did naturally before.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment, and you send a text or a Facebook Messenger or a Twitter direct message, and there's so many ways, LinkedIn message, and you think, I just saw a message from someone, I can't find it, or I sent someone, and then the paranoia kicks in. Why haven't they answered my message? They don't like me anymore. They know something's gone wrong. If it's a fan, something's gone wrong, they usually answer straight away. They could be anywhere having fun, but then there's this other thing, like, why aren't they contacting me? I've got to contact them. They've sent me a text, I better answer straight away. And it's like this sense of always being contactable, or in fear and paranoia, why aren't people responding? Have I said something wrong? I'll go through. Did I say something? You know, it's like it never used to be like that. You either picked up the phone, you sent a letter, or you went round to their house. But you didn't have to be on call for 24 hours a day, expected to answer every single message that you get whenever.
Oh, no, that is so true. And actually, I was talking to a client the other day, and they'd done just that. So they'd sent a message. Somebody gone really, really quiet on them, and they were like, "Oh, well, you know, they don't want to work with me anymore. They'd created this whole story about it." And I was like, you just don't know what's going on in people's lives, because you know what? Things happen. Things that we didn't expect. We can get ill, we can have an opportunity, but it could be all kinds of things. So instead of responding to what you've made it mean, try and think about what's actually happened. What's actually happened is they just haven't got back to you yet. And they got back in touch with me the following week when we were having our session, and they went, "You were so right. That person's got back in touch and said, I'm so sorry for the silent delay. I've actually ended up in hospital, and I've been reading through all the stuff, and it's been really, really helpful. And can we now re-engage?" So they'd kind of created this story that was just nonsense, and we waste so much of our energy in creating things that just didn't happen.
It's about self-validation, isn't it? Sometimes, you know, we're in this world, like you said, why haven't somebody liked it? Why haven't they responded? It's all about this self-validation now that we live in, this process that we go through. Almost again, are we enough? Are we enough? Are we valued? Are we giving enough? It's a tougher world we live in, ladies. Hey, it's a tougher world.
It is, but taking time out, detoxing from tech is sometimes a good thing. Don't put it on. Don't read the emails the second you wake up. Just, you know, limit it. 11 o'clock, have a look at your emails and your messages. Unless it's an absolute emergency, they would have phoned you anyway. But give yourself less time to get hooked up in all of that. The other day, I was like, I haven't looked on Facebook for a while. I better go on there and comment. It was like on everyone's status. It was like, "Oh, well done, very good, lovely, great cocktail." I was like, "Oh, I've done it now, I've caught up." Did I need to do that? I just felt really bad that I hadn't reciprocated the love, you know.
Yeah, the pressure that we put on ourselves because we're always on, as you say. Kim, what would you finish with? What would be your biggest tip to self-love yourself?
So I think my biggest tip is to ask yourself what is the one or two things that you need to do, and then actually give yourself the acknowledgement when you've done them. So that you take, you think about, if you climbed Everest, there's lots of camps along the way. And the reason for that is because you've got to be able to acknowledge how far you've come to give yourself the chance to have the energy to keep going. So do the same in your life.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, ladies. Well, it's been a pleasure catching up with you, talking about, the triggers, how we recognise when we need to turn that tonic on and when we need to adopt a bit of self-love and recognise when others are needing it as well. Be that person that gives it. Kim, finish us off with how people can get in touch with us, please. Lovely.
Of course, my love. So if you would like to join us and share your tips and advice to help people to manage their mindset and live the life they dream of, then please do get in touch at www.businessblondes.tv. And until next time, take care and take care of yourself.
Bye.